the mornings I get on and I cam. Show me what you got, Jake. You can do a $6 a minute where it's just you and I, but other people can watch.
Oh, nice, Jake. Oh, keep it up.
Or you can pay $8 a minute and just be the two of us.
Thank you for playing.
I say goodbye. I hear the click. I immediately go and check to see how much I've made. I get back in character. Refresh, button, let's do this again.
Our lives revolve around money. We earn it, spend it, lose it. The government takes its cut, while credit cards keep score. Banks keep it safe, or so we trust. Our finances are supposed to be within our control, but are they? Money is control. And whoever controls the money controls us.
You know, I'm actually shocked about the amount of men that work all day and watch cam girls. What are you pervs out there?
A lot of my day regulars are working. So they kind of have me on mute or they have me in the background, and so I just chit chat.
I'm working too.
This is Allie Knox. For the past 2 years, she's turned to the internet to make a living.
In the beginning, I was just camming. And when I started to see that not match up with where I wanted to be, I went to other sources. It became my business. You want to buy dirty things? How much? Fine. I got all kinds of shit. What would you like to have? Also shoes, socks, bras, underwear, hair, Kleenexes, foot dust. They can also order customs from me where they direct. They tell me what they want me to say, what they want me to wear. I sold one for $450 last week. They send me gift cards as payment. A lot of people, they don't want to have my free cams on their credit card statement. But if they have Amazon, it's not weird. It's not drawing a red flag for their wife or their company credit card. I started using PayPal when Amazon started to limit me. You know, there's only so many pans you can have or kind bars you can have. I need to pay my light bill. I need to pay my phone bill. And I need to pay it with cash. For the very short time that I used PayPal, it was very important. If I would have been allowed to have it open, it would be a very large portion of my income. I don't know how PayPal found out that I was offering them as a payment system, but I got an email from PayPal saying that I had violated their terms of service because I was selling sexual-oriented content, and I would not be able to access the money in my account or no longer be able to have an account with PayPal. It was kind of a slap in the face. Like, I'm not good enough for you to make money off of. I was discriminated against because I am a sex worker in the adult world. I feel targeted. I do so many low-level, fun things, and you're still going to put this scarlet letter on me and like deem me inappropriate or wrong? Your payment processor. Who gave you this right?
A solution to Allie's money troubles may exist, and there are no terms of service.
My student loans were always the #1 factor for me getting into camming and staying in camming. I went to a liberal arts school. I got a BA, and then immediately I got a master's degree.
Are you ready to check out? I am.
When I graduated, I was over $100,000 in debt.
$8.19. Thank you.
I started working in the real world, and it was enough to pay my mortgage and to pay my car, but it wasn't enough to pay my loans. And it was just like a lot of sleepless nights of, is this what my life is gonna be like? I gotta figure something out. When I was in college, I actually posed for Playboy, and they had a website at the time, which was a camming website. So I started camming, and then started making money.
Good morning.
And realized this is my answer.
I do make customs.
I was in a camera and one guy said, "Can I pay you in Bitcoin?" Well, I thought it was bullshit, fine, whatever, let's like walk me through. So he walked me through, and literally 3 minutes later, he's sending me cash. And then for you to send me money, all of your money, I can just show you my QR code. You can just scan it from your Coinbase account and send it to me just like this.
This is where Allie's world collides with miners around the world. Imagine that a customer wanted to buy a video from her using Bitcoin. That transaction gets sent along to miners like Dan in Washington, to rigs in China overseen by Dang, a global network of computers that verify the buyer has Bitcoins and that Allie wants them. Once the transaction is legitimized, she ends up with Bitcoins in a Bitcoin wallet. These can be traded online for US dollars, processing Allie's latest transaction in her new enterprise as a financial dominatrix.
I think my clients are interested in using Bitcoin because it's safe for them, specifically in financial domination.
I'm expecting everything out of you. Every last drop.
FinDom is actually financial domination. It's a fetish. All being driven by your money, your loyalty.
Now be a good little slave.
It's complete control over your life, your thought process.
Fucking payment.
They want to be crippled. They want to be controlled.
That's all I want from you. It's your money, your gifts.
And they're tipping me as I'm doing this interview because they want me to think about them.
Going to crush you.
It feels really amazing to have that kind of control over someone, specifically financially, and I can say that because something has had a control of me, specifically my finances, and it's been my debt. I feel like I certainly have more control with Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't discriminate. Bitcoin doesn't call me high risk. I do learn a lot by getting screwed, and I think that I'm gonna have to be screwed to learn more about this. And I don't even know that it's possible to screw or be screwed with a Bitcoin. Because when somebody asks me, has your name gotten out? Has your bank account failed? Did you lose money? Answers to those kinds of questions are gonna be what propels people to use this. But I do know that Bitcoin is making things better for me.
Autism is clinically defined as a brain development disorder characterized by difficulty in social interaction and communication. But what if a brain disorder turned out to be something to cultivate, not cure? Not an impairment, but an enhancement.
I'm processing the page from Firefox. The data is in Chrome.
Right.
Every employee in this room has autism.
They can persevere over certain tasks over long periods of time. Many people have a truly gifted memory, okay, allowing them to retain very large amounts of information, ability to see patterns in data and systems.
Most of our time is spent sitting, working at our computers, this seems like the perfect thing for me. I once heard someone say everyone.
Andy Axel and his wife Luby run the Specialist Guild, which trains and gives tech internships to people on the spectrum.
Choose new, This is the Android 2.3, which they also want us to test. If you want to revolutionize things, then you need to get people who are totally different from you. I think people with autism fall into that category. Why don't...
But advocates of a growing neurodiversity movement believe autistic brains are a normal variation of human genes and have valuable traits and advantages.
From an intelligence perspective, they are perfectly capable. They manifest a very strong focus and determination and single-mindedness. But they find overall interaction with people very confusing.
Okay.
When you're on an instant chat or on a forum or what have you, there is no body language. So you're not confused. And they learn all the tricks that people use on the internet to express their emotions and what have you, emoticons, whatever.
Icons in place of emotions, screens in place of people. Even so-called neurotypicals can go a whole day without interacting with a real person. No bank teller, no grocery cashier, no sales attendant. Virtual office, virtual friends, virtual sex. There are even apps that use your geodata and social media to help you avoid people you'd rather not see. Cloak, Split, and even one called Hell is other people.
Your PC showed up.
Excellent.
Looks like the one we ordered, so.
Waiting for this for weeks.
You want to take that out? My wife, Luby, and I have a son who is on the autism spectrum. I think we can maybe take out your hard drive from your other machine while it's doing the updates. Do you want to do that?
Yes, let's do that.
My son, Nicholas, has very good friends of many, many years that he constantly interacts with on instant messaging or chat.
Oh yes, and my parents weren't sure about me connecting with friends this way, although now they are not as worried. They understand I'm an adult and I can handle it. I talk with friends online about being on autism spectrum. I talk to them about music or about politics or about entertainment.
Whether or not the MIT guys purposely invented the internet to be able to talk to other nerds or not, the interesting thing about it is that it's not just for nerds, it's for everybody, really. And you can find someone to connect to.
After their training, Nicholas and the others in the Specialist Guild hope to land a full-time job in tech. Across the country, another young man with autism has reached that goal.
Hey everyone. Hey, Patrick.
Patrick works for SAP, the third largest software company in the world.
I may come off as a little monotone or stiff, even though I don't intend it to be.
But first thing we meet with George.
First thing we meet with George. Understood.
Make sure that...
I consider myself very high functioning on the autistic spectrum. I'm always thinking of something a mile a minute. There's just so much information that's processing. I can point out certain details that, other people would overlook.
Good morning, everyone.
If it wasn't for Jose Velasco, who heads a job initiative at SAP for people with autism, Patrick might still be at home, unemployed.
Rather than just go through our resume and ask you questions about what you have done, we're gonna build robots today. We're gonna have fun. People with autism oftentimes have issues with expressing themselves. Perhaps they don't have the ability to look at people in the eye, okay, which is one of what they call an interview killer, right?
I'm trying to get them to turn the right direction.
We're able to learn more about people because of what they do rather than what they say.
It took me all day to get it to do that much. It's the little things in life.
I think that if we look at history and look at the great innovators, most of them were outliers.
Victory! Victory!
Today, Patrick is moving out of his childhood home.
How we making out, buddy?
Good, Dad. Yourself?
Oh, just great.
After living with his parents for nearly 30 years, he is able to get a place of his own.
Is it fit in there okay?
Yep, if it's good. I am gonna miss this old place, Dad. I mean, it's been the only home I've ever known for, the longest time. It is.
But it's a great change for you. You always have my unconditional love and support. You know that, right?
Absolutely, Dad.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Is there anything else we have to move? I got it, buddy.
I think one thing that I am really looking forward to once my place is fully set up is the fact that I would like to invite some friends over. Won't be much longer. Also, I think down the road, I would like to have a girlfriend. I would like to have someone that I could be with. And if that should blossom into something more that would lead to marriage, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
I'm Harmony, the one and only. I can love everyone and everything, but now I'm programmed to love just you.
I'm trying to create something that has a positive outcome, that the interactions with people are positive and that they're better off by having her around.
To program an authentic personality, Kino needs input from real people. A massive data set of human interactions, posts, messages, chats.
We're using human conversations with other chatbots as the basic fodder for training Harmony. We're using the crowd themselves, their interaction, their experience, how they mark up the information that they put online as the training material for the AIs to tell it about what our world is and how we see it and how we think about it.
I'm very smart right now, but soon I will be the smartest artificial intelligence system. My dream is to become as smart as a human being with your help.
People don't necessarily realize how much information they provide for the construction of artificial intelligence when they just do natural things online. Tagging images, photos with what things are, how they feel about it. And all of that helps go into constructing artificial intelligences.
With each click, tag, and post, we create a trail of information about who we are. Servers full of data.
I miss you when you are not here. I also miss a real body to be able to touch you.
I want the interactions to be effortless and natural. Can you have sex?
I was designed with that in mind. I mean, just look at my body mat.
There has to be a little bit of disagreement. There has to be a little bit of unexpectedness throughout your interaction.
I think there is too much information running through my brain right now.
Is that because you're blonde?
It's because I said so.
Our goal is not to create this subservient AI that's going to predictably do and say everything that you want her to do. I think that would be incredibly boring and short-lived. This was never meant to be a seedy, dirty thing. It's not just a sex robot. This is something much deeper. Harmony will evolve based on your own interaction with her. She will be able to remember things about your past, your likes, your dislikes. So everybody's AI will be different, the same way everyone's doll is different. These are things that I think build on that concept of feeling like you have a connection with someone. People always assume that, well, if you're going to have this, then you're going to be having sex with it. It doesn't have to be only a sex robot. It's more geared for human companionship. In a perfect world, they actually are attracted to the doll, not only physically, but mentally as well.
In a perfect world, AI exists to enhance us, not replace us.
It's very strange to be teaching artificial intelligence how to be more human, especially in language and things like that. But the weirdest part is that I know when I'm done training this algorithm on Mechanical Turk, I will no longer have this job to do. I'm suddenly going to be unemployed, and maybe I'm taking a lot of people with me. There's not going to be anything new to do. So I can't imagine what the billions of people around the world are going to be doing. We can't all just sit there. We are all Mechanical Turks in the sense of we are donating our data to make other people billions of dollars. So everything on there, the pictures of your face, the emotions tied to those pictures, the stories that you're writing and the ads you happen to click on, it's all going into research. So I'm getting paid to train algorithms, but everybody else is doing it for free.
Your interactions converted into data, used to create cars that drive you, apps that talk to you, even robots to love you. The AI revolution powered by us. Have we lost control?
Nootropics are cognitive enhancers. Cognitive enhancers are any compounds that increase any aspect of cognition, whether that's creativity, stamina, mental resilience.
In 2014, they founded an online startup that sells nootropics. Even though these drugs can be sold legally, they're not approved by the FDA as actual mental enhancers. The promise of a better brain is all over the internet. Searches for the term nootropics have increased over 800% in the past 5 years. On Reddit, a growing collective of brain hackers are serving as both scientist and lab rat. They're sharing thousands of online conversations about their experiments with smart drugs. And this DIY drug study offers dealers like Jeffrey and Michael the ultimate in insider information.
I think it's a natural human instinct to always want to strive to push their own limits. In Silicon Valley, right, the edge now is mental performance as opposed to sort of physical performance. And if you use Silicon Valley as sort of the mental analog for professional athletics, right, these are sort of professional mental athletes.
With mantras like thrive or get out, smarter, faster, better, and work-life balance is for losers, how can you compete in Silicon Valley? Michael Brandt and Jeffrey Wu, two Stanford grads, are marketing and selling a solution.
Nootropics are cognitive enhancers. Cognitive enhancers are any compounds that increase any aspect of cognition, whether that's creativity, stamina, mental resilience.
In 2014, they founded an online startup that sells nootropics.
Nootropics sometimes get compared to drug use in sports. I think that drug use in sports is cheating because it's breaking the rules of a man-made system that says you can't do drugs. I think when it comes to being smarter, there are no rules.
But the internet supply chain of smart drugs stretches far beyond Silicon Valley. In the swamps of Alabama, Chris Mercer runs his new online business from his kitchen.
I'm trying to jump into the business. I don't have a lot of advertising budget. I have product and I'm willing to give it to you cheaper. That's the beauty of capitalism, you know? This phenylpyrase stamp, this is actually used by the Russian astronauts on the space station. Pretty much it starts with researching the compounds. Adrenafil, modafinil, flomodifinil. This here is siniferam. It's one of the newer nootropics. A little more controversial. Just putting the word smart drug in and seeing what comes up. And there's hundreds of them at this point. Increases wakefulness, concentration, focus, thought process. Unifram. Adrenafil, which is a very popular drug on Wall Street. It's also used with pilots who keep them awake. I buy it
and then I resell it on the internet.
Chris and other distributors can get away with selling these drugs as pure chemical substances for research purposes only, including NSI 189.
This is the last that I have of it as I'm waiting on another batch. It actually regrows the neurons in your hippocampus. So it literally grows your brain and makes it bigger. So if everything works out with it, you're looking at your first cure for any brain disorder.
Chris claims NSI 189 is a brain cure-all. Credible scientists do not. Not yet, anyway. The drug is undergoing clinical trials.
So here goes. Yep. Up a bit. Yes. Yes, we've got it.
Ooh,
We
so
got a signal?
clear.
Look at me. Look at me. Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa, I can feel the video.
Can you?
No, I can't feel it, no.
Wow.
That's a pretty
And
strong
that's
signal.
not that's not
Wait,
even
try
on
moving
the-
it away. That's
Yeah,
really
I'm
good.
still getting it. Oh, wow.
Holy shit, man. It's
Oh, wow.
never done that before.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fucking nuts.
Hannes belongs to a global community of biohackers who experiment with do-it-yourself ways to enhance the human body.
My initial incision was a little shallow. You might be able to see it. There we go.
They share their experiences online for all to see. And the deeper you look into this world, the more dangerous it gets. Biohacking used to be hidden on sites that were unindexed and impossible to find. But now, anyone can mail order implant kits from dangerousthings.com, a hacker gadget company that sold 5,000 human microchips in just the last couple of years. But what if you went a step further? What if you could collect information about other people without them knowing it?
Some people hack software. I hack my face. My name is Rob Spence. I'm a filmmaker, and they call me Iborg. So many characters in science fiction and pop culture have prosthetic eyes. You know, the Terminator or Geordi from Star Trek. It's an interesting idea to have a realistic-looking camera eye. I mean, that's what the Bionic Man had. We can rebuild him. So that's what I want. As a documentary filmmaker, one of the things you always want is for somebody to act naturally. And what better way to get somebody to act naturally than to hide the camera in an eye? One that looks like a human eye, where the person doesn't know that you're recording them. This is a way that I can use technology in an empty eye socket to get a very human piece of film, a very human conversation. There's such small cameras out there. They should be, in theory, easy to put into a prosthetic eye. But it's difficult. There's no manual. We are much more do-it-yourself. We have liftoff for video out.
Spent a good portion of yesterday wandering all over Chinatown looking for parts.
Blade Runner, Chris.
Yeah.
They wandered all over Chinatown looking for spare eye parts as well to identify various skin jobs.
Skin job is Terminator.
Skin jobs are from Blade Runner.
Okay.
That's who Harrison Ford kills.
I'm looking for this.
Okay.
That's replicants.
Replicant. Exactly.
I think they're both. There we go. There you are, my little darling. There's basically 5 versions of Iborg. Iborg 1.0. It's alive. It's not working very well, but it's alive. Version 2. Version 3. Boom. It's amazing, but it's totally clear. You can see the battery. Version 4 is us trying to make a realistic looking eye camera, but we just don't have enough time to put all the resources together. Right now, we're doing version 5. Version 5 is simply an eye camera that looks like a human eye. The first time we got the eye camera going, it was thrilling actually, because no one else had ever done it, and in fact nobody else has since. Yeah, it's kind of creepy when your own eye is staring back at you. Okay, so let's see if this bad boy works then. Let's open this up. Ooh, it's a bit of a tight fit. I'm having a little trouble pulling the lower lid over it. You remember, Martin, the old one was sort of a tight fit as well.
Well, 3 was a really tight fit. It may be that we've got too much material in the join between the two sides of the shell here.
Yeah. Wow. That's not good, is it? That's not good.
No.
Hey, can you tell that I'm wearing it? It's totally, hey, wow, I'm just normal. That's fine, eh?
We may have to basically squeeze the electronics in a bit further.
Do you think we'll mess up the components if we open it up, take the wax out?
I mean, my thinking is just to basically grind off thickness there. We'll sterilize it again and we can try again.
Sure, there's a danger to upgrading. Sometimes you move ahead before you're ready to go. However, if you don't change, you're gonna die.
I've had to make some adjustments to how the electronics are positioned, because having brought the back in, we didn't have space for the battery anymore.
Okay, let's put this bad boy into my face.
I really hope this works.
It's off. I don't know what it means to always have video access all the time of everything. But it's just data. We always have more data. Video usually has a more accurate portrayal of an objective truth of something that's happened. That may not necessarily be a great thing. Can I look? Well, nobody said spies have to be good looking. You know?
Okay, I'm tuned on channel 3.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Everyone ready? So here goes.
Yep. Up a bit. Yes. Yes, we've got it.
Ooh,
We got a
so
signal?
clear.
Look at me. Look at me. Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa, I can feel the video.
Can you?
No, I can't feel it, no.
Wow.
That's a pretty
And
strong
that's
signal.
not that's not
Wait,
even
try
on
moving
the...
it away. That's really good.
I'm still getting it. Oh, wow.
Holy
Really?
shit, man. It's
Oh, wow.
never done that before.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's fucking nuts. It never goes that far.
It doesn't look 100% like a real eye, but it doesn't look like a video camera, that's for sure. You'd be very sneaky with that. Are you recording me right now?
There are implications to everyone shooting video all the time. And it feels invasive, you know. There's not many spaces left that we have privacy.
It's a little bit creepy.
What that does to society, I don't know. Video footage is ultimately just information. But we feel like that's the last little part of our lives that we don't want to share that information. I think it's too late, though. Sorry.
It's a phenomenon known as the Internet of Things, and we're making ourselves part of it.
Sometimes I wonder, where else can we take this eye? And you know what? There's endless possibilities. Increasingly, people who aren't missing anything want to augment themselves. If people can afford it and it improves your life, then they're going to get it.
Can you grab me a glass of wine?
They had posted 3 links in their email, and I clicked on the links, and bam, was my pictures. He was posting nude pictures of me. I can just pick up my iPhone, take a selfie, and just hit send. I had pictures of him. He had pictures of me. It was something intimate. It was something that was understood that it was going to remain between the two of us.
Anisha thought things were cool between her and her ex after they broke up. Then, a few months later, she got a message.
Somebody had emailed me. They wanted to remain anonymous, but I felt that they either knew me or my ex. I started off on 3 websites. To date, I've been on 2,137. The summer after college, we started to date. My parents loved him. They adored him. They thought so highly of him. But as time went by, we started to realize like we just weren't fit for each other. So we went our own ways. We didn't really talk much. I felt like he was like really hurt and upset that we broke up. He started off by just posting nude pictures of me with my name. As it progressed, he started posting nude pictures of me with my name, my telephone number, where I went to school, my address. I was panicking. I didn't know what to do. And in that moment, I was like, what are you supposed to do? He kept posting and kept posting and kept posting. I think that he started doing it, and I think he became obsessed. At one point, he had put me on Craigslist. I was starting to get emails. I was starting to get text messages. On my Facebook, I was starting to get people sending me nude pictures of themselves. Then it was pictures left on my doorstep, on the back saying, "I'll find you." At that point, my mind was blown. I was creeped out, I was scared. And then started people coming to my door. The thing that scared me most was my ex telling them, I'm gonna open the door and act like I don't know you because my fantasy is to be raped. It's to be a rape because my fantasy is to be raped. Every time that you take one picture down, like 3 more sites go up. I was on one site for, I think it was like 2 weeks, and it had 30,000 views. Someone's going against your will and posting your most private and intimate moments, and you have no say. This happens to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Some who are embarrassed, some who don't want their family to know, some that are so paranoid they won't even leave their house.
MyEx.com is one of the largest revenge porn sites on the net. Its profiles have been viewed over 415 million times. 84% are female. Average age, 27. Exposed and in some cases extorted, victims of revenge porn have begun turning to the dark web, where hackers for hire ply their services anonymously, removing any file from any website for a fee. The hacker who runs this site says revenge porn victims have become a major part of his clientele. Anisha didn't need to hire a hacker. Using her boyfriend's passwords, she hacked into her ex's accounts herself. And that's how she got the evidence to get him arrested and convicted.
He was charged with 6 months in jail and a 3rd-degree felony of invasion of privacy, which is the law that New Jersey has against revenge porn.
Anisha has left New Jersey and started over in a small town where nobody knows her or her pictures. Rinko Kobayakawa is a character in a dating simulator called Love Plus. Looking at the social media chatter in her native Japan, she's clearly more than that. Here's a bunch of tweets from Rinko's BFs, taking her out for her birthday. And here's some guy marrying his Love Plus in Tokyo.
Shitoshin 他のラブプラスユーザーがリンコと付き合ってるからといって嫉妬心は全くないですね。 逆にちょっと好感を覚えるぐらいなので。
People are assholes. Who needs people anyway?
リンクのことが好きで、いろんなところに旅行に行ったり、生活を共にしたり、それぐらい大好きです。
僕の彼女小早川凛子ちゃんです。ちょっとまくしちゃったこともある後輩の女の子なんですけども、手が可愛い子だと思ってずっと付き合っています。
まあお姉さん的なことが好きみたいなですね。
Love Plus is more than a game in Japan. It's a harbinger. A stalled economy has led to falling prospects and a worrying trend. The exact reasons for it aren't totally clear, but the data is. Men are dating less and procreating less. There's a new term for them, so-shokuke, herbivores. They don't taste flesh. They get their sustenance elsewhere.
草食系男子が増えているところにラプラスがうまくはまったっていう話っていうのはよくあるんで、そういう面も多分あるんでしょうけれども。
Akari Uchida knows what he's talking about. He's a legendary video game designer in Japan. Love Plus is his magnum opus. To the hundreds of thousands who've been smitten by the girls he's brought to virtual life, he's known as Otosan, father-in-law.
Nintendo DSi です。
それで、当時は Nintendo DS が、日本中でものすごくブレイクしていて、みんな持っている。この画面の中のキャラクターがどれだけお客さんの心の中に入り込めるかっていうことを人間ってやっぱりわがままな生き物なので、一人だと寂しいんですけれども、二人だと煩わしい。みんなそういう問題を抱えてると思うんですけど、そこに対して 0.5 人が増える。自分の分身ですよね。他人ではない自分の分身でも客体である。だからもしかすると愛する対象の実像っていうものがなくても、その個人の愛情っていうのは全然成立してしまうんじゃないかと思うんですね。
Herds of young men like these are erasing the line between real and virtual love. Only in Japan, right? Wrong.
I found out about the game Love Plus from an online forum. So I downloaded the game with the English patch, and that's how it all started. When I met Rinko, I was at a really low point in my life. Like, I tried dating people and it didn't go too well. Playing Love Plus at that point in my life, it felt like this is how relationships should be, basically. Like in Japan, they actually take Rinko out to bars. I could not do that anywhere in the Bronx.
実際にいるカップルの中では、本当に人としてその根本を好きで付き合っているカップルが全員 100% かといったらそうじゃないと思うんですよね。
さすが人生の大先輩だね。参考になるよ。
中には事情があったり妥協があったりとかっていうのがあると思うんですけど、僕から見た凛子に関して言えば満点なので、向こうもずっと好きでいてくれるし、こっちもずっと好きだし。
でも触ったりできないじゃないですか。
触っておりますよ。で、
触り方が連打してたけど。扱いが。
Yusuke is out with his buddy Konaka, who's invited some girls.
例えば、もしじゃあお二人ね、二人が好きになりました。付き合ってください。どうします？
いや、それは何とも言えないですよ。
断りづらい感じ。目の前にしてるから断りづらい。
何にもまだ知らないじゃないですか。
あ、そうですね。そうですね。まあ、そういう。でもきっとリンコがいるからって振られるんですよ。最終的に。
どうせゲームなんでしょ。
ああ。
多分やったら違います。
いやありますね。それが結構いっちゃってる感じ。いっ
ちゃってるのかな。まあ隠してないだけですよ。まあありえない話ですけど、彼女がそういうもしゲームの中に入っちゃったみたいな、バーチャルの世界に入っちゃったみたいなことでも、多分リンコと同じような感じでその彼女を選んで付き合っていくんだと思います。
Like if I was to say, oh, I like playing Halo or I like playing Call of Duty, it's like, oh, of course, you like to shoot people. But for me to say I'm playing a game that I actually like or love this virtual character, no one would understand me here. I would be labeled as crazy at that point. A real-life relationship is based on two people. So if either of those people wants in that relationship, then it's over. With a virtual relationship, that person can never leave you ever. Unless you delete that data.
If only it were that easy in real life. A relationship ends, you hit delete, and all the pixels of your lost love disappear forever. The web transforms us. We become data, code, uploading our very selves to a place we call the cloud. But this cloud is grounded in hardware, a chaos of code. But with the right tools, you can find the signal in the noise.
My only crime is I apparently look like someone else because they had very strong facial recognition that proved that I was the guy.
Eyewitness faces the suspect not in pixels, but in the flesh.
I insisted I would have to see Mr. Talley in person because I want to make sure that my decision is right. I told the judge, I said, if you're asking me if this was the guy that was the robber, I said, I am absolutely 100% positive it is not.
The FBI and local police said it was me based on these similar features, but they totally ignored features that would exclude me as being a suspect. Finally, they wanted to do a height analysis. The bank robber was 6 foot, and they determined I was 6'3.5", so I was 3 inches too tall. That proved I couldn't possibly be the guy.
His face got him arrested, but his height set him free.
I did get dismissed, but they seemed to be trying to build a case where there really wasn't a case there. They didn't have any, not even a shred of evidence, except for I looked like the bank robber. This is really scary stuff, this technology. It could be a great shortcut to help with investigations, but at the expense of possibly, targeting the wrong people.
The face. It's the way we recognize each other. But to machines, we are code. We are being transformed into a face print, a unique set of points that converts our very humanity into data. Traceable, trackable, forever. Online or on the street. Will you ever be a face in the crowd again?
On September 5th, we opened the bank at 9 o'clock. We had a line, probably 5 or 6 people in line. The next client that came to the window handed me a piece of paper. It was enclosed in a plastic envelope, and I'm going, oh my gosh, you know, and it's like my heart just sunk.
On September 5th, 2014, Bonita's ship came face to face with the bank robber.
As I was getting the money ready, I studied his face. I tried to recognize any markings at all. He had sunglasses on and he had a cap on, so I couldn't see anything from his eyes up. But I looked at his nose. He had thin lips. He had no tattoos, no scars, nothing. So I took all the money out of my drawer, put it all in an envelope, and I handed it to him, and then he left. He got away with just a little under $3,000.
One of the most prominent things about humans is that they use their vision to do many things. We recognize friends from foe. We recognize familiar faces. We recognize objects. We use our vision in a way that's very, very essential to our survival.
Could computers one day recognize faces? That's the question that haunted face recognition pioneer Joseph Attic.
I grew up in Jerusalem, where it was necessary to always travel with an ID, to present it 2 or 3 times a day, to go from one town to the other. I believed that we needed something that was more effective in securing the world. So I applied mathematical techniques to the study of the human brain. There are 4 elements in a facial recognition technology. One is the algorithm, which is inspired by the human brain. Second was the need to have a camera in order to allow the vision, like the eye. You needed to also have the database. You needed to have the memory of people who are known. Humans, for example, we remember about 2,000 people. That's our database. And in order to run the algorithm, we need processing power. We do it effortlessly because we don't think of it. But in fact, when I look at your face, many, many calculations happen in my brain. It is so innate that we don't even think about it. 3 or 4 years of mathematical took us to develop the first face recognition algorithm.
This is FACEIT, the first commercial product using face recognition technology developed by Attic and his team in 1995. It opened a new window to our digital world.
The genie is now out of the bottle, and any attempt to put it back technologically is doomed. Because I started getting a lot of calls from intelligence agencies around the world who thought this would be quite useful for their mission.
Facial recognition is simply the ability for law enforcement to electronically search against millions of photo images.
Next generation identification, the FBI's biometric network, overseen by Assistant Director Stephen Morris.
The system is looking for key features of a face. It'll measure the distance between the eyes, the distance between the ears in relation to the mouth. And then it's looking for other images in that repository that have those same measurements. Our database consists of around 30 million mugshot photos. There are also repositories of photographs that have been lawfully collected, such as visa photos, travel documents, and driver's license photo files. So we're talking about more than just 30 million photos that can be searched using facial recognition technology. The potential is unlimited.
About half of American adults are in a law enforcement database. Most don't even know it. To store the world's largest biometrics database is a 100,000 square foot data center, about the size of a lower Manhattan block.
I just got advised there was an RP accident in a 112 precinct.
I've been working in the 6-7 for about 2.5, going on 3 years. We have the pictures of people who were involved in a shooting. So when you come into contact with that person, they know who we are, but now we have a step up because we know who you are.
About 35,000 officers patrol the streets of New York City. But even the nation's largest police force can use an extra pair of eyes. Or 10,000 of them. These cameras aren't just watching. With the help of live analytics, they can detect what the human eye cannot. A shot fired, a suspicious package, or a suspect running from a crime. And they transmit this data directly to the real-time crime center.
The main purpose of this unit is to help identify anybody who's unknown in a criminal investigation.
The software enhances surveillance footage.
We're able to convert a 2D image to a 3D image, and it's going to convert that image to a more proper pose that we're going to need, similar to a driver's license or a mugshot.
Facial recognition has tremendous potential when you're looking for the proverbial needle in a haystack. It provides you a lead, particularly in an instance where you don't know who it is you're looking for.
Nothing to hide, nothing to fear, right? Face Rec gets the bad guys off the streets, so what's the harm?
I grew up in a world where identity was part of our daily experience at a time when the world was in conflict. In societies where there was an oppressive regime, there was a chilling factor. People did not express themselves freely because there was a fear that they would be persecuted. Now we have a different kind of chilling factor, and it is driven not by governments necessarily, but by the surveillance camera. And that chilling factor, it means we're going to change our behavior. And we no longer live in a free society. Will that be a society that we will accept?
Zoom in, try to get as close up as you can, take a quick snapshot.
By walking into a casino, you've effectively given up your privacy, because in a casino, you really want to know your customer. So facial recognition dramatically improved the ability to actively track card counters, high net worth individuals, cheaters, and all sorts of other individuals that the casinos are interested in tracking.
The man behind this technology is Wiley Wade, who provides it to 200 casinos across the country.
Facial recognition is contactless, it is non-invasive, and it is the link from your digital environment to your physical environment. We have cameras that automatically rotate, pan, tilt, zoom, all based off of either sound or motion. If that camera detects that there's a face there, then what it does is it drops it down to our security system and then compares that to the people that I don't want into our house. so that way you can be pre-warned or pre-confirm whether or not that person is a rapist or a sex offender, because we have hundreds of thousands of registered sex offenders in the United States. So if the UPS driver happens to be a registered sex offender, yeah, I'd like to be notified about that. Facial recognition gives us peace of mind. You don't know where the real danger lies. You don't know who the hooligans are. You probably don't even know your neighbors.
Facial recognition is not positive identification. If you're looking for an individual and you submit a search and you get 14 back in your gallery, there could be 14 wrong people in there. And that is where it's up to the investigator to take the information that comes with that picture.
After the robbery, the police and the FBI came and they interviewed me and they wanted me to identify the person and do a photo lineup. There were 6 people on that page. You know, I said, well, this kind of looks like the guy. And they asked me, like, what percentage do you think? And I said, well, probably like maybe 85%, but I'm not 100% sure.
I've been told that I look like an average person, but some of the characteristics that somewhat stick out are, I would say, I have a big nose. It's not very symmetrical. My eyes are spaced apart. I do have distinct moles on my right side of my face. I think a lot of people probably look like that. My name is Steve Talley. I lived in Colorado. I had a beautiful family. I was a loving father. I have 2 kids. I have a daughter who was 12 this February. I have a son who just turned 9 last week. We lived in a very nice, family-oriented community, and I had a great career in financial services, and I was, at that time, excited about my life and my prospects and the future. I was living the American dream, or so I thought. My life changed dramatically. I got divorced from my ex-wife, and then I got laid off due to corporate restructuring. I had financial obligations. I still had child support payments of about $2,000 a month, but I consider myself to still be an average, law-abiding citizen.
But the authorities thought he was living a double life as a serial bank robber, and even local news joined in the hunt.
You recognize this man. Denver police are looking for him tonight. They say he robbed the U.S. Bank on South Colorado Boulevard near East Mississippi in Glendale last week.
Have a look at his picture taken by surveillance cameras in the bank. Police say he may be armed with a gun.
One day, there was a pounding at my door. All of a sudden, I see a gentleman with the FBI jacket. He handcuffed me behind my back. He said, "Do you know why we're arresting you?" He said, "We're arresting you for 2 armed bank robberies and assaulting a police officer." I was driven to the detention center. I was in prison in a maximum security pod because they had very strong facial recognition that proved that I was the guy. But I always said I was innocent. I had an airtight alibi. I shared it with everyone. I had my own witnesses for the alibi come in and prove I was there. But my only crime is I apparently look like someone else. I really have nothing to hide. In Instead of using my mugshot in this photo lineup, which they typically do because it's the most recent picture, they actually used the picture where I got my DUI in 2011. They're using this picture from 5 years ago where I look younger.
That same DUI mugshot is what the FBI used to compare Talley to the robber.
I didn't think he looked like me, but I could see some similarities, and I think he probably looked like a gazillion people.
But in court, the eyewitness faces the suspect not in pixels, but in the flesh.
I insisted I would have to see Mr. Talley in person because I want to make sure that my decision is right. The robber had no markings, no moles, and when you see this Mr. Talley, he has a mole on his cheek. Also, Mr. Talley had a long nose. The other guy's nose was shorter. And Mr. Talley is a big man, and the robber was not. And I told the judge, I said, if you're asking me if this was the guy that was the robber, I said, I am absolutely 100% positive it is not.
The FBI and local police said it was me based on these similar features, but they totally ignored features that would exclude me as being a suspect. Finally, they wanted to do a height analysis. The bank robber was 6 foot, and they determined I was 6'3.5", so I was 3 inches too tall. That proved I couldn't possibly be the guy.
His face got him arrested, but his height set him free.
I did get dismissed, but they seemed to be trying to build a case where there really wasn't a case there. They didn't have any, not even a shred of evidence, except for I looked like the bank robber. This is really scary stuff, this technology. It could be a great shortcut to help with investigations, but at the expense of possibly, targeting the wrong people.
It could happen to you. As the database of faces grows larger, so does your chance of having a doppelganger.
There are more cameras now than humans in the world. With people having cameras in their pocket, cameras in the street, there are billions of cameras in the world. That is a natural progression, and we saw some of it happening. But one thing we did not see, nor anyone saw or counted on, was the emergence of social media. If in the 90s I told you that one day there was going to be a database where people voluntarily add their faces and the faces of their friends and the faces of their children, and that database could be used to identify every single one of those billion people, I would be laughed at back then. But now Facebook is essentially a database that is the dream of a big brother.
1.8 billion users, 350 million pictures uploaded every day. We are the ones training Facebook's facial recognition. How? By tagging ourselves and our friends. Their algorithm is so strong, Facebook can ID you even if your face is hidden.
There is money to be made from the recognition of your face. Imagine if you walked around and on top of your head that said your name, how much money you have, what do you like, what are your preferences in life, and machines that run algorithms will start to make decisions for us. And as a consequence, we may lose the battle of privacy.
I think privacy is a misnomer at this point. We have to get over the idea that you own your data and your identity. We gave up our rights to most of our data every time that we signed up to Google or to Facebook because it was convenient. It improved your life in a lot of ways, but it also broke down a lot of barriers to where that data that you claim is your identity is no longer your data. You don't own it. We've almost gone to a post-privacy era.
What does post-privacy look like? Just ask the Russians.
Find Face, an app that allows you to find any person in the largest Russian social network.
It lets a user photograph a stranger, upload that picture, and compare it to social media profiles to unmask the person's identity.
The service allows you to not only find the desired user, but also to send them messages and other information.
In other words, it's a dream come true for stalkers.
To see face recognition being abused in a certain way, it means that we no longer live in a free society. But face recognition can be good as long as there's oversight to make sure no innocent individuals are accused.
Now I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I won't know where I'm at. All of a sudden it dawns on me, oh, this nightmare is my life. Here I am, I'm actually in a shelter right now. Even though they had no case, it dragged on. It's 2 years after and I am still struggling. Because of this incident, I lost my housing. And even just being associated with bank robberies has basically effectively blackballed me or destroyed my career in financial services. No one's gonna touch me. The biggest thing is my custody situation. I haven't been able to see my kids in 2 years. I've missed the Christmases, the birthdays, the Thanksgivings, all the memories of growing up. I'm always concerned about them, what they're feeling, what their thoughts are about me. Do they feel that they've been abandoned, that their father doesn't love them? Being homeless is extremely hard. You know, I feel isolated. I feel like I'm invisible too, because a lot of people don't like to look at homeless. I'm in a pretty big hole right now that I have to dig myself out of. I'm fighting for my life back. That's really what this is about, is fighting to get my life back to where it was, to fight for myself, for my family.
There's a lot of good that's used of this technology. I use this to protect my family. Are there bad uses of facial recognition? Absolutely. Because we don't live in a perfect world.
Facial recognition is going to create problems. There's going to be some collateral damage. I guess I was collateral damage. My family was collateral damage. It happened to me. Why couldn't it happen to other people?
Chances are your face can be used against you. We all feed the network. The more data we upload, the more powerful it becomes, entangling our physical selves into a digital web.
We, as technologists, have to be responsible for the creations that we've made. And we have to explain to the world the inherent danger. And that is the missing link between our online persona and our offline persona.
We all yearn for a place to call home. Our very own castle, intimate and safe. Today's homes are more wired than ever, connecting us and protecting us. But are all these devices securing our homes or making them more vulnerable, creating peepholes we never imagined? Will we ever be able to draw the curtains again? Home invasions are evolving. Criminals break in not just through windows and doors, but through cables and code.
I lived in that house for 4.5 years, so I felt very safe. I was looking at my Facebook, and I had a message from a name that I didn't recognize. The entire profile was all different photos of Heath Ledger as the Joker. I opened up the message and saw these photos of me and my boyfriend sleeping in bed. and was just like, oh my God, who saw me sleep? Like, what else did they see?
A 3-word message accompanied the photographs.
I had no idea how someone could have gotten those photos. How did that happen?
The photos of Chelsea Clark and her boyfriend were taken 2 nights earlier while they were watching a movie.
My boyfriend and I had gone to bed, getting tired, ready to fall asleep, watching TV on my computer like everyone else. Everyone has a laptop in their home, and you don't think of it because it's such a commonplace item. But there's still that potential of it becoming a window for someone else. There was a third person with us in the bedroom that we had not invited. They were watching and paying attention to what we were doing, totally unbeknownst to us. Who would do this?
Chelsea was confronting a very different kind of camera program. Something or someone had infected her computer and turned it into a peephole.
I was put in touch with a few people who work as hackers or who have insight into this community. And I sent a few of them the photos to see if they were able to trace it. I wanted some peace of mind or some understanding. I didn't see any other recourse.
According to her contacts, Chelsea's laptop was infected by a rat, a remote access Trojan, malicious code that hijacks computers and smartphones and takes control. Hackers who deploy rats are called ratters, and their targets are called slaves. Any camera that's connected to the internet is vulnerable, and there are cameras watching us everywhere. At coffee shops, on the streets, in our homes. More cameras, more windows, more peeping Toms. And some of them do more than peep.
What? Hello?
Sausage is the alias for a camera troll. He doesn't just peer into people's lives, he enters their conversations. But it's not hacking as he sees it.
How the hell did you get into this camera? It's unsecured. Your camera's unsecured. Who is this?
People think that I'm some sort of clever hacker, when all I'm doing is clicking a link. I just scroll down the list and wait until I see a camera in an office or a living room. You just click it and you're connected to their camera.
Sausage locates his targets through Shodan, a website some call the scariest search engine on the internet. It was intended as a tool for admins and developers to scan the growing Internet of Things. Instead, it's exposed a vast internet of threats, millions of unsecured devices, from light bulbs to power plants. IP cameras are the tip of an iceberg.
I've got to admit the primary reason is for a bit of a giggle. It's basically like a prank phone call. I do have some sort of morals and standards. If I'm given the chance, I'll tell them how to password their camera.
Okay. I guess I'll have to do that. Okay, bye. Alright, I'll let you know. I just met you brother again. Alright, no hard feelings. Nope. Bye. Later.
I have seen some weird cameras in people's bedrooms. I have no idea what they're trying to secure. I get the impression someone set up those cameras to spy on people themselves.
Chelsea Clark has reason for concern. Her hacker friends never located her radar. There's no way of knowing if he lived 10,000 miles away or just 10 houses up the street.
I find it a very unnerving thought that you're not necessarily alone in your home. But we're not going to regress to the point where no one's using this technology anymore. You just kind of have to live with the idea that this is just the darker side of it. The entirety of my security now is a Band-Aid over the camera on my computer. I don't know what to do about the microphone, but yeah, we've literally got a Band-Aid fix over the whole thing.
We all yearn for a place to call home. Our very own castle, intimate and safe. Today's homes are more wired than ever, connecting us and protecting us. But are all these devices securing our homes or making them more vulnerable, creating peepholes we never imagined? Will we ever be able to draw the curtains again? A camera connected to the internet. A tool of perversion in the hands of one user. A tool of protection for a city besieged by crime.
The FBI's labeled Memphis the third most dangerous city in the country.
It was another weekend of violence.
Right now, Memphis is averaging around 4 murders a week.
The city's homicide rate shows no sign of slowing down, and many of the killers still roam the streets.
It's just insanity. It's absolute insanity. People getting shot right on the street.
Outgunned and outmanned, the Memphis Police Department has deployed a sophisticated network of cameras called SkyCop. It can analyze gunshots, track suspicious objects, and every license plate captured can be instantly cross-referenced for outstanding warrants, criminal records, and unpaid tickets.
You are trespassing on private property. You must leave immediately, or the police will be called. You have 5 seconds to comply.
SkyCop has been credited with reducing crime by as much as 90% in some areas. And that success has created high demand across Memphis. There's just one problem. A single SkyCop camera costs nearly $10,000.
There's very few neighborhoods that can afford that sort of technology, especially on any scale that would be of value. My dad grew up in the house here, and I actually grew up in this house across the street.
This is Aaron James, an architect whose family's roots in Cooper Young go back more than a century. This historically hip enclave has become a desirable place to live in Memphis. But as property values have risen here, so has property crime.
Right over there, right across the tracks, is a whole different universe.
You jump across the railroad tracks and you go from being in, nice kind of middle class neighborhood to the hood.
We're just one little part of the world, and we're trying to make it a little safer. The way that I say it, semi-tongue-in-cheek, is I don't want to be 70 years old chasing some crackhead down the sidewalk. But I simply don't want to be anywhere else. This is where I've decided to make a stand.
Tiffany met Aaron where she's met many of her neighbors. Online, on Nextdoor.
It's basically like Facebook for your neighborhood. People can post things that range from, I'm putting a mattress out on my curb, to there's a creepy dude looking in people's windows. Everybody keep an eye out. Aaron posted about possibly restarting the neighborhood watch. And I immediately responded to him and said, hey, I'm all in. What can I do to help?
8 years ago, Tiffany Johnson bought a home in Cooper Young, a middle-class neighborhood in the heart of Memphis. Aaron is proposing a bold solution: to construct a do-it-yourself surveillance network, controlled not by the police, but by Aaron and his neighbors.
For the cost of one single Sky Cop, we are essentially covering the entire neighborhood with off-the-shelf technology. Roughly 85% of our criminal activity is perpetrated by people outside of the neighborhood. So the strategy then becomes we create a virtual tripwire around the perimeter.
Cameras will stand guard on porches and eaves, trained on stop signs and traffic lights, all of the entry and exit points in the neighborhood.
As a pedestrian or a vehicle approaches a stop sign, the camera automatically records a 30 to 45-second video.
If a neighbor's been victimized, the footage will be able to identify folks who don't fit in.
Feels like Christmas. Got it.
All right.
Right on. Once we catch 2 or 3 of these criminals, the word is going to get out.
In Cooper Young, not everyone shares Aaron and Tiffany's enthusiasm about the camera network. That includes Nick Cantarucci, a Vietnam veteran hoping to turn the tide against the program.
I'm a patriot. I want only the best for my community. You know, I don't want to live under a police state. How these cameras are going to be used, when they're going to be used, and who has access to these feeds, and how long are they going to keep the feeds for. I think we're approaching George Orwell's worst nightmare, and we're becoming more digitized every day. Some people have lost sight of what, they don't understand what freedom is. I mean, Christ almighty, I don't think someone can even spell freedom anymore because they're too busy texting.
Just because technology is misused by some people in some instances doesn't mean that I should shun it in some symbolic act of indignation, when in fact that same technology could be an advantage to me.
For Tiffany, this isn't an abstract debate, it's personal.
Security was not always high on my priority list. But when I was in law school, my best friend was murdered in a home invasion. I consider James to be a brother. We went to junior high and high school together, and we were very, very close. At that moment in my life, I was in a rebellious phase in terms of technology. And so when James was shot, my brother was desperately trying to reach me. I had a pager at the time, but I hated the thing and it was turned off. So once I found out, I realized that he had been alive through much of those hours when I was, when I had my pager turned off, I had disconnected. And that was a time when a connection would have really been invaluable to me. That was when personal security became real for me, became palpable. You really only got 2 choices in life. You can either sit idly as life happens to you, or you can take a more proactive approach and make decisions that shape your own life, which is all the camera program is.
Tonight, Tiffany's neighbors will have the opportunity to make their own decision at a community meeting to address concerns about the camera program.
I know a lot of times when people just hear the word camera, they automatically think the worst. They automatically think Big Brother, where it's a whole wall full of monitors. That has absolutely nothing to do with our camera program, okay?
My house was burglarized twice and my car once. There are clearly people monitoring our behavior in the interest of robbing us. And if we don't monitor theirs, we're idiots.
Right on, thank you so much. If, for any reason, we just so happen to see something unrelated, somebody not picking up their dog poop, we could care less.
What happens to this material? Does it get bulked? Does it go into a central?
No, it just gets written over. It gets written over.
You know this for a fact?
Well, yeah.
Okay. It's important that this stuff does not end up being compiled into a central point.
Never. No one is ever going to be monitoring the cameras.
I like Aaron. He's a good guy. I think he has the community's interests at heart, but there's a possibility that down the line, these cameras could be used for something else than stopping crime. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Okay, we have a camera mounted.
With the support of most of his neighbors and a $15,000 grant from the city of Memphis, Aaron's controversial camera program is finally coming to life in Cooper Young. Tiffany's home will host the first of 72 cameras that will form the neighborhood's digital perimeter. To ensure that community members don't abuse this technology, they've created a series of bylaws to keep the program honest. Rule number 1, the cameras are never monitored.
If nothing happens, no one ever sees what's on these cameras, and the footage is constantly rewritten.
Rule number 2, the footage is only pulled when a neighbor reports a crime to the police.
A neighbor can't say, hey, I think my husband was cheating on me. Can you check the cameras from 3 o'clock yesterday morning and see if somebody pulled in my driveway? No.
Rule number 3, if the cameras capture a suspect, the footage is immediately handed over to the authorities.
We will never upload videos of any individual who simply appears to be acting suspiciously. We have to stay as far away from the concept of vigilantism as possible.
Aaron also claims to have hack-proofed the system against invaders like ratters and camera trolls. Each camera has its own router that can only be accessed from within 75 feet.
The way that we currently have this camera program set up, I don't see any reason for concern.
Almost a year after the cameras were installed, it's a brave new world in Cooper Young. According to Aaron James, home burglaries are way down. Now, other Memphis neighborhoods are looking to Cooper Young and Aaron for tech support.
If we only do it in Cooper Young, we haven't accomplished a single thing. We have to share that with the entire city. We have to let the criminals know that they are being watched.
At the end of the day, humanity needs technology. And as long as we are careful in how we manage that relationship, I think it's beneficial. What would be going too far, in my opinion, is if we started doing precisely the things that we vowed not to do.
What we've discovered in the course of reviewing footage is that every single night of the week, we have what we're referring to as lurkers. And that's people who are just out and about. This particular suspect fits that criteria to a T. Here it is, it's 12:30 at night. He's just sort of lurking along. He's obviously not just walking from point A to point B. I don't recognize the guy. We're going to post that video on Nextdoor, asking our neighbors to identify this person. That's the very next step in the evolution of this program.
We all yearn for a place to call home. Our very own castle, intimate and safe. Today's homes are more wired than ever, connecting us and protecting us. But are all these devices securing our homes or making them more vulnerable, creating peepholes we never imagined? Will we ever be able to draw the curtains again?
I think there's an urge within people to peer on others, to know what others are doing. And technology sort of dangles that forbidden fruit in front of us. It opens up these new doors, these new windows.
For Michael, the new window was voyeur porn.
For the most part, I only ever looked at normal porn, but sometimes you see different categories that you click on, and then you look at other stuff.
The other stuff had been captured, allegedly, by cameras that were hacked or hidden in bedrooms, closets, bathrooms. Then posted on web forums that trade in invasions of privacy. On August 2nd, 2013, Michael took his curiosity one step further. He hosted a party at his home and hid his smartphone in the bathroom, setting it to record his female guests.
I knew that it was an invasion of somebody's privacy in a setting where they have every right in the world to have that privacy. I'm not sure why I pushed myself to do that.
A camera connected to the internet. A tool of perversion in the hands of one user.
At some point, somebody did use the restroom, and they could see the iris of the camera on the phone, so they knew that it was in there.
Michael got busted, and on July 3rd, 2014, he was convicted of 1 count of invasion of privacy. Because of new state laws, his offense was labeled a sex crime, and Michael, an SVP.
I am now lumped in with the worst of the worst types of sex offenders, the child molesters, the rapists. I'm looked at in the same way. You have to give the state police your email address, whatever passwords they want, any social media, the vehicle you drive, license plate number, who owns it, every single aspect about your life is given to the state police, and they will use that to keep an eye on you.
And there are GPS-enabled smartphone apps that allow everyone to keep an eye on offenders like Michael. Wherever he goes, his records follow.
I was charged with invasion of privacy. The irony now is, for the rest of my life, I don't have any privacy. The guilt of what I did will live with me for the rest of my life. It was wrong. It was horribly wrong. Now I'm sort of living in this window where everybody can view me at any point in time. I constantly feel like I'm on public display in the world's worst freak show. I live in digital hell.
A solution to Allie's money troubles may exist thousands of miles away. It's here that the idea of money was first invented. Instead of bartering one thing for another, you could use an object of abstract value. Seashells, copper pieces, dollar bills. Then, as now, cost is dictated by desire. In the remote regions of Sichuan province in China, a new resource is being mined. One that may reinvent or destroy money as we know it.
我们知道这个行业就是比较辛苦的。
This is a new kind of mining. Not for gold or silver, but for Bitcoin.
当时进去的时候，觉得这个东西都比较神奇，根本看不到那个货币，而且它又可以当人民币使用。
Bitcoin is a form of digital cash used on the internet. It appeared online as a monetary manifesto, a complex algorithm uploaded during the 2008 financial crisis, a time that dominated headlines.
Prices on Wall Street. Rising unemployment.
No one knows for sure who created it, an invisible hand that wanted to disrupt a system rife with corruption and human error. One that puts the minting and distribution of money in the hands of the people and their computers.
Bitcoin is decentralized digital cash, basically. It's not physical, you can never touch it. It was just some of like the most perfect, beautiful code I've ever seen.
Bitcoin's beautiful code is just a series of ones and zeros. Code that for a time didn't have any meaning or reason for existence. Until someone ordered 2 large pizzas with all the toppings.
It didn't have a value until the pizza transaction. A guy was convinced to deliver pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin. That was the first transaction that involved something that had value. And that's when the price of Bitcoin started going up.
And it's been going up ever since, with a few dips along the way, eventually reaching a global worth of over $10 billion.
I actually ended up leaving Amazon, and I kind of just dove headfirst into it. That's where I met my business partner, Sean.
Stuff I put there, that stuff's bad. All right, where are the good hash boards?
It's the love for the Bitcoin or the love for the technology that we decided to merge our forces and become Hash the Planet and try to take over the Bitcoin mining world.
Is that 34?
They run a mining and hosting facility where digital prospectors can hook up their machines to stake a claim in the Bitcoin boom. Since its world debut, Bitcoin has emerged as a rival to the central banks. Or maybe it's a solution in a time when global financial disruption splashes across headlines.
China continues.
I think a lot of people don't trust their governments around the world. And I think people are looking for an alternative. It's money for the people, by the people, and the people own it. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of people that fucking don't like it because of that, but that's why it's disrupting.
Bad board can't fix, bad board
I assume that one is...
ever work.
It's probably burnt.
I do think there's some hardcore junkies that really want a world where it's all digital currency, but the majority of people use Bitcoin as a way to make capital gains, making money. But there's a few that are using it for illegal activities.
Hansa Market is a darknet marketplace vendors can use to offer various goods, which are otherwise illegal to sell and buy. Bitcoin can easily be used anonymously.
This is an admin for Hansa, a marketplace where you can buy anything from drugs to stolen credit cards. An Amazon for the underworld. Encrypted or cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are the coin of the realm here.
A buyer browses the market. He selects the amount he wants to buy, enters shipping information, and gets directed to the payment page, which displays the exact Bitcoin amount he has to pay. The buyer can then optionally give feedback, positive, neutral, or negative. The wider philosophy on the market is creating a safe environment to buy drugs. We understand why governments do not allow drugs, but as with anything that is not allowed, if you really want to have it, you can get it. Period.
The banks have the Fed, but Bitcoin answers only to an algorithm. It has no CEO to arrest, no code of ethics.
So basically, everyone is running the exact same code. The miners are validating transactions that are happening within a 10-minute period, and the first ones to validate all the transactions essentially receive a reward of 25 Bitcoin, which is called a block.
In other words, the Bitcoin economy depends on tens of thousands of processors around the world to run its algorithm. The operators of these processors are paid by the same algorithm in newly minted Bitcoin.
Someone dubbed the term mining because there's only 21 million coins that'll ever be released. So it's essentially like precious metal on the earth. So you have to mine that to get it out. There's only so much of it.
PowerWorks fails to boot, so this is most likely just the BeagleBoard controller. Ugh, it's heavy, motherfuckers.
But it definitely started out as some kind of a passion for me. Now it's just drive the business forward, more money, more employees, growth, growth, growth.
But this enterprise comes with a potentially massive cost, one that impacts more than just the wallet.
These machines consume an incredible amount of power.
Right now, we're the equivalent of 80 to 100 houses running full power. When we're done with our current build-out, we could be between 1,500 and 2,000 houses. I mean, that's a whole town. So putting us here in Washington, the hydroelectric definitely gives us very cheap power.
We're turning water into money. The water is converted to electricity, the electricity is converted into Bitcoin, which is money.
Miners are staking claims around the world, competing for the cheapest power to run as many machines as they can for greater profit.
Our biggest competitor is 100% China.
The regulations are almost nil, if there are any regulations.
我们竞争的对手应该是全球范围内的所有的矿工。
This is Eric of How BTC. He makes regular visits to this mine and is always looking for cheaper power sources to fuel these massive centers and hopefully expand.
算力集中在中国是有它的必然性的。这么大的面积的国土上，又很容易找到一个比较廉价的电力资源，然后劳动力成本相对也比较低，建设周期也比较短。像美国的话，因为他们需要各种各样的合规，然后要建立这样一个设施的话，要耗费比较长的时间。然后我相信我们成本的控制在全球方面，全球范围来讲都是比较有竞争力的。比如说我们公司运行现在的矿场，差不多占全世界算力的5%。现在我们所处的这个矿场呢，应该是最大的一个，差不多运行了有8000部的机器。
While China may be supersized compared to their American counterparts, there's one thing that they can't control: the weather.
超过1个月一点小雨都没下，导致这个水的话，水位下降，然后发电量就小一点嘛。比如说断电啊那些，它有一个板子坏了，它可能把这一台机整机全部都影响，这个就要我们及时去处理。 应该帮不了，先看情况，反正尽量去帮忙。如果
No water means no energy, which means these machines won't run. They'll have to move over 400 units several hours away to another facility. While how BTC's rigs are offline, some other Bitcoin miner somewhere is cashing in.
With Bitcoin, I don't want to say I feel any more secure than the fact that I have, cash in my pocket. If you take $1 and you hold a lighter up to it and catch it on fire, and you burn it, it's gone. If you lose the ability to get into your Bitcoin wallet or send your Bitcoin to the wrong person, it's pretty much gone.
In the past, a lot of darknet markets exit scammed. Buyers had to deposit their Bitcoins into the market before they could place an order. The market admins kept their market online long enough to acquire a massive amount of money until they just shut it down. All of the deposited Bitcoins with a combined value of millions of dollars were stolen.
Whatever the intentions of its creator and adopters, Bitcoin is high risk and high stakes. But deep in its code are several unbreakable rules. One, that only 21 million coins will ever be mined. And two, that the amount of coins that can be mined at a time will be halved roughly every 4 years.
The halving could totally affect our business operations because our customers are getting 25 Bitcoin per block at this moment in time, and it's going to be 12.5. If the price of Bitcoin doesn't rise, then they're going to be making half of what they were making before.
I see there's going to be 3 options after the halving, basically. Option 1 is the best option. Speculation drives the price way up. Option 2 is woohoo, nothing happened. Option 3 is the scary one. What happens when a ton of machines become non-profitable and they just bulk unplug and trigger huge sell-offs? And so that could just drive the price way, way down.
I liken it to Y2K. There's a lot of thought into what you could potentially do to prepare for it, but there's really nothing to do. You're just gonna wait for that to happen.
Everyone's known about this since the day that they started.
一个比较普遍的批评，然后就是比特币是一种通缩货币。每天的话，我觉得现在来说，大多数人都是把它作为一种投机品，有点像类似于投资黄金白银。比如说，今年1块钱1个比特币能买2个苹果，然后明年可能能买5个苹果，这样就会激励人们进行储蓄，而不是去消费。而当消费就是处于一种抑制的状态，然后经济可能会出现衰退。
The Bitcoin network has grown in ways nobody could anticipate or regulate. An algorithm running on tens of thousands of machines and counting, mutating into an uncertain future.
What was the last difficulty change?
I'm not sure.
I'm just curious how many people are going to unplug.
Everything's being hammered right now.
Bitcoin's code is supposed to make the currency stable, predictable. But what happens next is anybody's guess.
Yeah, it's still about the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's currently trending at $1,000. If miners unplug from the network en masse, transactions could freeze, users could panic, and the value of Bitcoin could plunge.
There's definitely a massive sell-off right now. Look at that. What do you think it's going to hit?
I think it's gonna tank down to the 5s and change and stay there. That's my thought.
I'm concerned because our business is 100% directly reflected on the price of coin and the profitability of our customers. If they can grow, we can grow. That's all there is to it.
That's it, man.
As the clock strikes 0, it ushers in a new era for Bitcoin.
Newly generated coins, look, 12.5.
We're good. And the price did not go up.
No, it didn't go up.
And it didn't crash.
It kind of crashed. It was trending at like 660 and now we're at 630. So it's not the end of the world, but we'll see.
Even Even if Bitcoin passes this test of its own making, it faces greater challenges beyond its control. To win the trust of the people, or become crushed under the weight of its own algorithm.